Hey everyone, what's up? You know, I did a video, and I do apologize if this video goes off. I do apologize on that because it's kind of acted up lately. I don't know what's going on with the camera. Hopefully I fixed it and we'll just go from there. But if it does go off, I'm just going to redo this as quickly as I can. But I did a video one time, a couple months ago, where I talked about the fact that, well, I basically talked about what is a comic drama. And basically a comic drama is basically a comic book read by a variety of people, lending their voices to characters and narration. It's basically the equivalent it's basically a modern day equivalent of what the radio shows were back in the 20s, 30s, and 40s. Radio shows back then were people standing in front of a mic, one mic that is, doing voice acting for the show. Basically they were radio serials. So that is basically what a comic drama is in today's world. It is a comic book drama. It is basically the equivalent of a radio show, but with pictures and fans, variety of fans lending their voices to the characters and the narration. Now it's not just with comic books either. Mangas have also been incorporated into this as well. Mangas take a little bit more effort and time than a regular comic book does, but they have been incorporated. But for me, the way I got introduced to this was through, of course, the Sonic the Hedgehog comic books. And I've enjoyed them. And I've even talked about what I feel is probably some of the best comic book dramas, well, out there right now, but also what I felt should be turned into a comic book drama from a storyline perspective. I've talked about that, and I think you can check that out in my video where I talk about these things. But if I was to choose five comics, not just story arcs, but issue-wise, that I feel could really need an adaptation, I have five in my head that I think could really do, even if they're just for one issue. But I think they could really help out. The first one on the top of my head, out of the five, is Sonic issue 247. Now I know several people here on YouTube, like Dark Cloud, and several others at Sonic Comic Theater, and many others before me, not before me, but many others in that same area, like Shadow for One, Sonic Comic Theater, Dark Cloud, and several others, have all done comic book dramas of various issues. But it seems that Shadow for One, and I think that's her name, has done all the issues except for 247. Has done several key issues that happened before the Worlds Collide crossover, except for 247. And I believe 247, to me, would be an interesting issue to adapt into a comic book drama. One, it would lead into a cliffhanger and want fans to want to hopefully demand and see a Worlds Collide comic book drama take place, but that would kind of lead into it. And to me, it definitely has some good elements. The people you could get for it could definitely provide good voice acting if you get the same people. And just the storyline itself works in a great way, because you have, one of the main plot points of the story is you have Silver arriving to help the Freedom Fighters, or at least Team Fighters in this case, and revealing to them who the traitor is. Now, can you imagine the actors and actresses playing off from that fact? To me, it could work, and I sorely think, in my opinion, it needs to be done, and it needs to be done soon. Another one I think could be adapted. And there's so many issues out there. But I think, even if it's for 3 issues, I think turn back the page, go back through time, and do a comic book drama of all 3 Princess Sally miniseries issues. I think a lot of fans would like that, A lot of fans would get a kick out of it, and the people you get for that would be tremendous. So I really think that could work. Another one I think that should be done. Another one that I think should be done, even though it's very controversial in a sense. I can't think of the issue number right now, but it's where Bunny has been caught and is slowly being absorbed by Adam into the system, or at least organically being absorbed by Adam until Sonic rescues her. Again, I can't think of the issue number right now, but I'm pretty sure a lot of you guys know about it. It's during a time when, storyline-wise, Bunny was no longer with Antoine and Sonic was no longer with Sally, and they were trying to find a connection or something. So I think that would work just as well. I think another one that could work just, I think that would work just as well. Another one that I think could work, in a sense, another one I think could work. I'm trying to think about it right now. But another one I think that could work would be the 48-page special for Sonic Super Special, the original ones, Brave New World. I really think that could work. I think people would like it. It is 48 pages. It is mostly talking, but just the emotions and the elements out of that 48-page special, I think could really, really work in the long run. So that's the third one I think should be good. A fourth one, I believe, is from the Knuckles comic series when it ran, and that is the 3-issue story arc where Knuckles and Julie Sue officially become a couple because they've finally gone on their first official date. It's all part of Knuckles' birthday as well. So I think that could really work in the long run, and I think people would get a real good kick out of that as well. So I think you should definitely consider that as one of the top 5 comic dramas that need to be need to be done as a comic drama. I think it should be one of the top 5 in there. So, what is the last one? What could be the last one? Well, there's 2 story arcs, 4 issues each. One, of course, is very controversial, but was basically the magnum opus for Ken Penders, and that is Endgame. That could be a good one. Another one, of course, is the Countdown to Chaos story arc. I think that could really work because it, has a lot of emotion, has a lot of great character development when you think about it in a sense. So I think it could really, really work in the long run for the characters, for the people involved. I think a lot of people would get a kick out of, listening to that, watching and listening to that that story being brought to life as a comic book drama. I could say the same for Endgame as well. And as well, I think another big one, just to throw out maybe a third possibility for basically a 3-way tie at a number 5 spot. I guess you could probably say it's a top 7 deal, top 5 to 7 comic book dramas that need to happen. I think the third one, of course, would have to be the Sonic Adventure comic book adaptation. I mean, this thing is massive. This thing goes from basically about the early 180s, continues through to the the 180s, continues through. Well, not the 180s, but it continues through from like around issues 79, 78, about basically from 78, continues through into a 40-page. It continues through as well as takes place in part of a original Sonic Super Special, 48-page special, which it continues on in, and then you have an issue or 2 after that. So I think the Sonic Adventure comic book adaptation would be another great story to make into a comic drama. So that's just my opinion. What I think could be the top 5 to 7 stories, Sonic comic stories that need to become, that in my opinion definitely need to become Sonic comic dramas. So let me know what you guys think down below. Comment if you like. Check out the comic dramas here on YouTube. Give the thumbs up to those people. They do tremendous jobs. And I will talk to y'all later.